Okay, as the last day of the year, Chavtes Elul, we're holding on Chavches Amud Bet, so Chavches Amud Bet. We are 28B1 in the art school. We're dealing with who is a kosher witness, and who is a witness that is pasul. So Amar Abba Bar Hana, Amar Abba Bar Hana, Me'id Adam Le'ishto Arusa. The man can be a witness to his wife when she is an arusa. Okay, so just briefly explain. In Talmudical times, the way they got married was a two-step process. You had erisin, which we're going to translate as engagement. This is when he gave the ring and said, you are now going to be sanctified to me. Then that was considered the erusin. That's considered engagement. They were considered legally married, but they were not allowed to live together yet as husband and wife until the did nisuyin, which is the chuppah, where she comes into his domain. So today erison and nisuyin happen all at the same shot. You go under the chuppah, you give the ring, you do everything together in one shot. Today, when we do what we call engagements, is really not an engagement, but more as an agreement. You know, you give the girl whatever it is, whether it be flowers, whether it be jewelry, whatever it is, chocolate, worth some money. You give it to her. You're not saying, "All right, at that time." You're not doing erison. You're just making like a transaction, a deal that I'm giving you this, and we're understanding that we're going to get married. But it's not erison like they had in the Talmudical time. So now, an heiress wife, she is a legal wife, but not a complete wife. So, Amar Rav Chana, he said, I can be a witness for my wife who is an arusa. We're only engaged, and we're not legally married. We're not live together. We didn't have chuppah yet. We only had the ring. Only have the engagement parts. So, for some reason, he's holding that. That's okay. She's not considered your relative when you're not fully married. Rabbi said, why Amran Ela la Puke Mine? This is we only believe him to be a witness for her if he's testifying in order for her to lose money. She owes someone money. But if he's testifying for her to get money, he's saying someone owes her money, that we're not going to believe. Because, in a few more months, he's going to get married to her, and then all her money becomes his money. So he says, Ravina says we have to make that qualification. Now, the Gemara says, Loihi, and that's not the halacha. Loi shana la'apuke, loi shana lo'ayole lo mehemin. It makes no difference whether to take money from her or whether to get money to her. He's never believed. The husband, even though at the stage of Arusa, he is never believed. Why? My data, Rabba, you said, Rabba Archana said that a husband at the Arusa stage can be witness to his wife. Why are you saying that? My data. You are saying Bar'ami in the name of Ula. He taught as follows. Ishto Arusa, lo onen. In Ishto Arusa, lo onen, lo mitamela. If a husband at the stage of Arusa, his wife died, so his legal wife, but they're not fully yet married, she dies, he doesn't have to sit avilut for her. And he's not allowed to be mitameh for her. If he's a Kohen, he's not allowed to be mitameh for her. And then it says further, and so too she lo onenet. If he dies, she doesn't mourn for him. And she doesn't become tameh for him. Now, first of all, just to mention, only the men of Kohanim cannot make themselves tameh. The women, they're allowed to be mitameh themselves. They're allowed to. So when it says here, lo mitameh lo, I mean she doesn't have to become tameh for him. If she wants, she could. But there's no issur for her to become a tameh. The only issur is on the Kohen, male Kohen. Mita eno Yerusha. If she dies, he does not Yerush her. He does not inherit her. So Methu, if he dies, she does collect from the ketuvah. So Rashi says that if they wrote the ketuvah early, they wrote the ketuvah at the engagement, at when they gave the ring, and he said, right at that stage, he wrote the ketuvah, and now he dies. She collects money from that ketuvah. So it came out that she doesn't become an avel at an onen stage. She doesn't need to become tamei for him. He doesn't have to become tamei for. He's not allowed to become tamei for her if he was a kohen, and he doesn't have to be an onen for her. So it looks pretty much that they're not married. So Rabbah says, based on this, listen, they're not married. They're not married. Therefore, let him be a witness. You see, they're not related. Halacha is that they're not related. So what does the Gemara say? Hatam b'she'ero tala rahmana akati lav she'erohi hakam mishum ikreve datahu v'ha ikreve data legabe. It makes a big difference because over there, when you're saying by onen and you're saying by mitameh, you're saying he doesn't have to do it. You know why? Because there are psukim. There are pesukim that says about she'ero. It says the word she'ero over there. She'ero means close relative. As it says, lenefesh lo itama be'amav ki im l'shero akirov elav. It says, become, what's it called, matame only for your wife when it talks to kohanim. Therefore, she'ero has to be she'ero, has to be an actual wife, has to be one that's considered the closest relative, because you two could be together, you could become one. So it has to be she'ero. Same thing when it comes to Yerusha inheritance. It says in the pasuk, it says the word. I'll read you the pasuk. It says over here, "Ve'im ein achim la'aviv, v'natatam et nachlato l'she'ero." You give it to the wife. Hakerov elav memishpachto v'yereshota. So she'ero again means wife. So that's why the Yerusha doesn't go. And that's why he doesn't become the Tameh, because he's not a She'ero yet. But by Edut, when it comes to testimony, the halacha is an engaged person cannot give testimony to about his wife, because it has to do with ikreve data. Their minds are connected, meaning they want to help each other out. I would hope so. If two people are engaged, right? A boy and girl are engaged, you want them to look out for each other. So therefore, they're considered related in that sense, and that's why it would be pasul for him to be an aid, whether to take or to get for her money. Now, how far does this pasul go? Okay, how far does this pasul go? Meaning, do we say at this point, even though they're not legally married, they're legally married, but they're not completely married, is her parents considered his parents? Is her brother and sister considered his brother and sister at this point? Is that already at a Russo stage? Or is that only at the Nisuyin stage? It's actually a machloket. It's actually a machloket. It's a machloket Rambam and the Ran. No, actually not the Ran, but Rabbeinu David. The Rambam says he's only apostle to her, but to her relatives he's not apostle because they're not completely married yet. The Ran brings in the name of Rabbeinu David, they says no, even her relatives are going to become apostle. But in the end, the Ran says no. Ran is agreeing to the Rambam and saying just her he's apostle to be an aid, but to her relatives he'd be mutter to be an aid, kosher to be an aid, because they're not that closely related yet, because they're not she'ero, they're not not closely related. Now the question is, what about nowadays? Like they do today, they just give some money. They're not actually doing erusin. Can he be an aid for her or not? The Hagoy's Oshri says, kosher le'edutla. He would be kosher. He'd be kosher. But he said, that's only if he's testifying in order to take money away from her. If he's going to take money to get to her, saying someone else owes her money, then then we're not going to believe. So today, nowadays, where we're not in Erison stage, we're just engaged as an engagement, he's allowed to be a witness for her in order for her to lose money. But to gain money, we have to be worried that he is planning his own, future estates. He's getting people to owe her money. This way, everything belongs to him in the end, so we can't believe it. Okay? So far, so good. That's that sugya. Now, we're going to come to another sugya, another topic. Mishnah said,
the halakha follows the second person?
what?
The halakha follows Ravina?
In today's case, yes.
Okay.
At the Erison stage, the halacha is not like Ravina and not like Rava. He cannot be an aid for her in any way. They're already considered legally married. Nowadays, when it's not legally married, we're just agreeing to get married. So it's not an Erison stage. So then it would be like Ravina. Right. Then it would be like Ravina, that we would believe him to take money from her, but not to get her money. That's correct. Okay. The Mishnah gave a whole list of people that are possible because they're relatives. And they said that one of them, and they said everyone is son and son-in-law. Son and son-in-law. Except for one of them. The Mishnah said, Chorgo levado. When it comes to a stepson, the stepson is all alone. Just the stepson is possible, but not the stepson's son or son-in-law. They're going to be kosher aiding. So this is for example. So let's just work it out. So you have a woman who has a son. She gets married to another man. So the husband and the stepson are possible edut. But the stepson's son and son-in-law would be kosher le'edut. Okay? That's what the Mishnah said. Usually it would be son and son-in-law, but stepson, it said only the stepson. We have to see why. Let's go through the Gemara first. Tana Rabbanan. We had a Braita. One Braita says, Chorgo levado. Stepson is alone. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Rabbi Yossi says, Giso. Giso is Bojet. Okay? He said brother-in-law. Bojet, just him, and not his son and son-in-law. The Tani Idach, another Braita says, Giso levado. A Giso, a Bojet, just he's possible, but his son and son-in-law is mutar, is okay. And Yehuda Omer, Chorgo. Yehuda says Chorgo. So one says Chorgo levado, and then the other says Giso, other says Giso levado, and the other says Chorgo. What are they meaning? Ma'akomer. What is each Tana saying? If you want to say this is what they're saying, Chorgo levado, Giso. The stepson, only he's possible, but his son and son-in-law are kosher, and the same is the din by a bojet. Same thing as by a giso. And Rabbi Yossi comes and says, Giso levadoi. A bojet is by himself, as pasul, his son and son-in-law are mutar. They're kosher eating. The huadin, and it's the same thing lechorgo for the stepson. So Rabbi Yossi and Huda are saying the same thing. But this is a problem, because who does our Mishnah go according to? Because the Mishnah said, his son and son-in-law are all possible. Nani, who is this? Because the way we just set up the Braitot, it's not Rabbi Yehuda, and it's not Rabbi Yossi. Rather, this is what each Tana is saying. This is how you have to set up the Braitot. A stepson alone, But a bojet, his son and his stepson also pasul. This is Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi comes and says, no, Yisol levado, a bojet is alone, aval chorgo, the stepson, he's pasul, his son is pasul, and his son-in-law is pasul. So each one is choosing the other one to say that it's that's not possible. Now the Gemara says, now you can't say this either. Well, how did Because Reb Chia said, Shmoneh avot shenesim v'arba. There are 8 primary relatives who they're pasul, their son and son-in-laws are pasul to get from 8 to 24. You have 8, then the sons, another 8, another son-in-laws, another 8 is 24. If you're going to say that Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yehuda each say either Giso or Chorgo, either the Bojet or the stepson, it's not going to be like Rabbi Chia. Why is that? Because really, the Mishnah talks about 10 relatives. The Mishnah talks about 10 relatives. Who are the 10 relatives? I'm going to read to you the 10 relatives from the other Gemara over here. It says in the Sifta Gemara, in note 26, Achiv, the brother, Achi Aviv, the father's brother, Achi Imo, the mother's brother, Baal Achoto, the husband of his sister, Baal Achot Aviv, the husband of his father's sister, Baal Achot Imo, the husband of the mother's sister, Baal Imo, his mother's husband, if she remarried, Chamav, his father-in-law, Giso, his bojet, and Chorgo, his stepson. So you have 10. So Rabbi Chia comes and says there are only 8 who are possible with their sons and son-in-laws. Now, if you're learning the way we just learned the Braita, it has Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yehuda each only cancel out 1, either the stepson or the bojet. So you're only down to 9. If that's the case, it should be 9 times 3, it should be 27, not 24. So who does Rabbi Chia go according to? Rabbi Chia is an Amora. He has to go according to one of the Tanoim. So who is he going according to? This is why you have to learn. Rabbi Yehuda holds just the stepson is pasul, but his son and son-in-law are mutar. But when it comes to bojet, his son-in-law and son are all going to be pasul. But Rabbi Yossi came and said, a son and a bojet is only he's pasul, not his son and son-in-law. The same thing is by a stepson. Umatnitan Rabbi Yehuda, the Mishnah is like Rabbi Yehuda that has 9, and Braita Rabbi Yossi, and Chia's Braita follows Rabbi Yossi that has 8. Now, before we move on, we have to take a second to understand why we would make an exception, why the stepson is different, why the brother-in-law Bojet would be different. So there's 2 ways to look at it. The Parshim say stepson and the bojet, it could really be looked at as a karav of a karav. It's a relative of a relative. You know, the guy marries the woman, he's related to her. He's related to his son, okay, through her. But his stepson's son, is really no relation to him. You know, he doesn't have anything invested in him. There's no real karav. You know, same thing with the bojet. You know, it's his wife's sister's husband. You know, one thing is him and his wife, okay, then her family. But this is not just her family, this is her family through a second marriage. That's the other way opinion is. It says once you go through marriage to 2 marriages, you're no longer considered related, right? Because he has his marriage to his wife, and then the bojet is married to his sister, which is another marriage. It's related to 2 marriages. As such, only he's pasul and not his children. Same thing with the stepson, right? he's married to his mom, to his stepson's mom, but the stepson is married to another woman, and now they have a child, so it goes through two marriages. So then they would be kosher. So it's like a carve of a carve. It's a relative of a relative. It's close related, but not close enough. And that's what that would make the difference. That's the way they're understanding. That's the way the Mepharshim understand. So Amr Yehuda, Amr Shmuel, halacha Rabbi Yossi. Halacha is like Rabbi Yossi. Now, if you went back to the Mishnah on Daf Chav Zayin, the Mishnah says, Amr Rabbi Yossi says, Zu Mishnah Rabbi Akiva. The Mishnah, everything that it brought down is according to Rabbi Akiva. But Mishnah Rishonah, but the earlier Mishnah had just the people Haroi Liyarsha that were able to inherit him. So only the father's relative. That's what the original Mishnah was, and that's what Rabbi Yossi said. So now, Rabbi Yossi. The which Rabbi Yossi? The Rabbi Yossi in the Mishnah that says only the father's relatives, or Rabbi Yossi of the Braita that goes according to Rabbi Chia, that he only cancels out the Gisa of the Bojet and the stepson is just never possible and not their son and son-in-laws. Which one? So it brings a story. Someone had a gift document. Someone gave him a gift and gave him a document with it. And two Bojes signed as a witness. Rabbi Yosef, he wanted the kasher. He wanted to say it's kosher. He said, Allah is like Rabbi Yossi. Which Rabbi Yossi? Rabbi Yossi of the Mishnah. That only the father's relatives are possible because they can inherit you. But wife's relatives is not considered related. And that's why it should be mutar. Abai said to him, why are you saying like Rabbi Yossi of the Mishnah, the machsher begiso, which he only disqualifies father's relatives, so he would permit wife's relatives. Rabbi Yossi the Braita, the halachas of Rabbi Yossi of the Braita that says the pasil begiso. He says a bojet is possible, just not the bojet is possible, not his son and son-in-law though. So the Gemara says, let's talk about that. He says, don't think that. Don't think that the halachas of Rabbi Yossi of the Braita, halachas of Rabbi Yossi in the Mishnah. The Shmuel said, "Ano Pinchas, Davin and Achim Yisei, Al Gisa the Alma, Shaperdam." Okay, one time there was two brothers, Shmuel and Pinchas, and they married two sisters. I know Ephraim is not on, but Ephraim's Amak, I believe, right? Him and his brother married two sisters, so they're brothers and brother-in-laws, right? They're Bojes and they're brothers. So Shmuel and Pinchas said, someone like us, who's brothers and brother-in-laws, we become Pasul Eidim. Meaning, want to infer of a Gisa de Alma, if they were just Bojes, chopper dummy, then it would be okay. It would be okay. Abai says no. Maybe everybody knows brothers are possible. So maybe when Shmuel said, like me and my brother Pinchas, he was saying even brother-in-laws, even Bojes are going to be possible. So Rabbi Yosef now sees that this guy cannot kosher the shtar because he have two brother-in-laws, two Bojes signing on it. Emily tells him, listen, you want to get this gift back, go find witnesses who saw the delivery of the document to you, who saw the shtar come to you, who saw that the document was given to you. Gabriel Elazar. Mistake was getting when we're dealing with divorces and you're handing over the shtar get. Gabriel Elazar holds you don't need witnesses on the document. You need witnesses that watch the handing over of the shtar to the wife, who's going to be divorced. So it's Edim and Sira, those who watch it being transferred. So he says, you had someone who watched it being transferred, get them because the Bojes are possible. The signatures are no good. Rabbi Abba said to him, it cannot work, it won't work. Rabbi Elazar, B'mzuyaf mitocho shehu pasul. He says the only time Edom Mesira works when you watch witnesses and watch what happened. That's when the star is kosher. Even if it doesn't have any Edom, you don't need signatures on it, as long as it's a kosher star. But in here, now that you have two brother-in-laws who are puzzled to be Edom signed on the star, the whole star becomes not kosher. And as such, even if you have witnesses who watched it being transferred, since it's a puzzle star being transferred, it won't help. So Omar Lay, so Rabbi Yosef said to this man, Zil losha kele de otavine lach. You got to leave. I have no way to get the gift back for you. We have no proof that it belongs to you. The star is puzzle. You can't use the witnesses on the star because they are brother-in-laws, they're Bojez and they're puzzle, because you go according to Rabbi Yosef of the Braita. And you can't use Edom Mesira because the star itself is invalid. When you have an invalid star, Edom Mesira won't help. So far, so good? Okay. Let's move on to the next piece. Rabbi Yehuda Omer. Rabbi Yehuda says, so we had a machlokas in the Mishnah. What happened if someone was related and then he's no longer related? Meaning, say a man was married and he had a wife. He had a wife, and then the wife died. So is he still considered related to his father-in-law, to his brother-in-law? Is he still considered related, even though she's not around anymore?
Do they have
was of the opinion? Yeah.
Do they have kids together?
Oh, so Rabbi Yehuda was of the opinion if they have kids, they're still considered related. And then the other opinion in the Mishnah was, the anonymous opinion in the Mishnah was once the connection is severed, even if they have kids, they're no longer considered related. So which way do we go? Amar Rabbi Tablo, Amar Rabbi Baruna, Amar Rav, Lachak Rabbi Yehuda, Lachak Rabbi Yehuda, that if they have kids, even though she passes away, they're still considered related. Rav, Amar Rav Nachman, Rav Sanhedrin Rav Nachman, in halakha Rabbi Yehuda. Halakha is not like Rabbi Yehuda. Chen Amar Rabbi Bachana, Amar Yochanan, in halakha Rabbi Yehuda. Halacha is not like Rabbi Yehuda. And today the halacha is brought down in Shulchan Aruch that once the wife passes away or they're divorced, they're not considered related anymore, even if they have kids. And he would be allowed to be a witness against his ex-father-in-law or his late father-in-law, whatever it is, he would be able to be a witness to the relatives from his wife's side. That's halacha l'maaseh. Some learn, Rabbi Chana has taught as follows in the Braita. This is Rabbi Yosef Glili taught. It says in Pasuk, Uvata kohanim haleviyim ela shofet asher yibim imahem. She go to the Kohen or the Levi to get judgment of the judge that's in your day, that's living during your lifetime. Gemara says, "V'chitale adatcha shalom hoylech etzel shofet shlo yavamov." Why is the pasuk going to say go into the judge who's in your days? Are you going to go to a future judge? You're going to go to the judge in the past? You can take a time machine? How? What it means is, by Yamim, that means if he's related to you during the days that he's related to you, you're not allowed to go to him. But if he's not related to you anymore, then you're allowed to go to him. It has to do with the days that you're related or not related. Amar Bar Chana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Halacha Kev Yossi Aglili. That as long as they are married, they are apostle. Once they're no longer married, even if they have kids, they're going to be a kosher Edom. Okay, let's move on a little more. Bnei Hamua de Mar Ukva, the sons of Mar Ukva's father-in-law. So basically his brother-in-laws. Kravim, on top of 29A1. They were relatives, and then Mar Ukva's wife passed away. So now they're no longer considered relatives. They came to Mar Ukva to get judged. They told Mar Ukva, we want you to judge us. Amar lahu, he said to them, "Hisnina lechu ledina." I'm disqualified. I can't be your judge. So they said to him, they said to him, why? You think halacha is Rav Yehuda? That once you have children with our sister, you're considered a relative for life? We'll bring a letter of marriage to Israel. The ain't halacha Rav Yehuda. Halacha is not Rav Yehuda. That even if you have kids, you're not considered related anymore. So therefore, you're allowed to be our judge. Amar lahu, he said to them, you think I'm glued to you like a cob of wax? You mean basically saying, I know I'm not related to you anymore. The word kira is Greek origin from kiros, which means wax in Greek. So basically he's saying, I'm not wax. I'm not related anymore. The reason the reason I said that I'm apostle for you, in the mashum, the Lord said Titu Dina, because I know you will not listen to my decision. You're too friendly. We already been brother-in-laws for a long time, and you're too friendly. You're not going to listen to me as a dayan, and therefore, I'm apostling myself to be your dayan. They bring over here that if you know that someone's not going to listen to you, you have a chovah not to be the judge. You have to tell them, I'm not going to do it, because they're not going to listen to you. And that's what he did. Because he knew they're not going to listen to him, he said, I'm not going to do it. Right? Mishal Shuba Yosef Oimitz, Shadayin, Shadei, Shalishun Lo Balei Adin, a judge who knows that they're not going to listen to him. Not only is it permissible for him to not sit on the court, he has an obligation not to sit on that court. If he knows they're not going to take him seriously, they're not going to listen to him. Okay. The Mishnah then said, according to one opinion, that if the person is his good friend, Ohev, we don't listen to him as a witness because he's going to be impartial. He's going to try to take his friend's side. And if he's an enemy, also, we don't listen to him because he's going to go against that guy. Now, Ohev, the Mishnah said, Ze shushvino. This is a shushvino. Now, what is a shushvino? Shushvino, shushvino, doesn't bring it in. Let me see where I saw where they brought it. Hold on 1 second. Shushvino. Okay, here you The groomsman mentioned here was a close friend of the groom who would accompany him during the wedding festivities. The groomsman would also give a gift to the groom and prepare him the wedding meal. It was a moral and evil legal obligation to return the favor of serving as a groomsman. And when the groomsman would in turn invite the groom to be a groomsman at his own wedding. So basically, it's the best man who comes and does everything for this guy for his wedding. It's similar to what we do. We're all the best men when we go to weddings because we all come and we give shushvino, we all give money, right? And what happens with that money? They write it down. And when they come to your wedding, they give it back to you. So each one is helping making the meal. So, but in that days, there was one guy who did everything, and he was considered the Ohev. If he's considered an Ohev, the Mishnah said he cannot be an Ed. Kama, and for how long? The Gemara says, I'm going to be Abba. I'm going to be Amarav. Kol Shiva Yemei Hamishta. All the days of Sheva Brachot. After that, he'll be kosher again. The rabbis, after the first day, already it will be permissible, only on the wedding day itself. After that, he's already going to be kosher to be an id. Esoneh, an enemy. Kosher lo daber. Anyone who didn't talk to someone for 3 days, he's considered an enemy. You can't listen to him. Tanur banan. No, the halacha is we do listen to enemies and close friends. unless they're like an arch enemy and like a super close friend, then you have to be worried. The regular enemies, that's okay. Then Rabbanan, how do we know this? It says in Pasuk, and he wasn't his enemy. He didn't hate him. So this is Yidenu. This part of the Pasuk is telling teach us about witnesses. And he didn't seek his bad. This kind of teaches that for a judge. The judge can also not be his enemy. Now we have a pasuk about someone who hates someone that they're puzzle or heminalan. What about a close friend, someone who loves him? Read as follows. Hulo oyevlo, lo ohevlo. Change oyev to ohev. Yedinu. Lo mevakesh ra'ato, lo tovato yedinenu. So change the pasuk. I should change the pasuk. Midi ohev ketiv. Does it say the word ohev, lover? Does it say a close friend? Doesn't say it. It was svara. Rather, it is a svara. It is logic. Oyev matama. What is the reason why an oyev, an enemy, is possible? Mishum imlachakat date. Because he's very unfavorable to him. He doesn't like it. Oyev nami mikravah date. The lover also, he's too favorable. He's too much. Therefore, we have to be careful and not believe him because he too much loves him. Now, most people who are close friends and most people who are enemies, we would accept them unless they're known to be an arch enemy. Like this guy is like no matter what the situation, even if his guy's going through a very hard time, if someone died in his family, he still hates him and still like makes problem for him. That's considered like an arch enemy, and that maybe at that point we wouldn't believe them. Yeah. Let's take a look at the last piece of Gemara for today. Now we're gonna stop before the Mishnah, but the Mishnah, the Rabbanon, they argue on the Rabbi Yehuda and the Mishnah and said no. They said we do believe everyone. We don't say Klal Yisrael is so fickle that 1 minute they're friends with someone, they are going to lie for him, or if they're enemies, they're going to lie because of him. They're not going to do that. So what do they do with this pasuk? Lo oyevlo, lo mevakesh ra'ato. My darishba. What do they do with this pasuk? Ad ledayan. Learn it's for the dayan. When it comes to the dayan, you cannot use a friend or an enemy. You have to use someone who's impartial. For a judge, it's different than a witness. Witnesses we will believe, he won't lie. When it comes to a judge, they have to judge impartially. So any type of friend, any type of enemy would be pasul. And the other part of the pasuk, from here we learn he had two rabbis, two judges, two Tamei Chachamim who hate each other. How can this be? I don't know. But as it was. You have two Tamei Chachamim that hate each other so much. You cannot put them, you cannot put them on the same bedin. Reason being is that every time one rabbi would say something, the other guy on purpose would say the opposite. You're not going to come out to a true din. You're going to come out to a biased din of two people fighting. Therefore, we don't let that to be. That's what they learn from that pasuk. Okay, we'll end off over here. Let me take it off recording.